this is the first time in which you get to show that you know something.
Oh, but that's not what I'm good at.
Well, that sucks. But we're going to go through every single question on the test so that those of you who are here at this moment are going to get a complete preview of the test. And then those who watch this video later will also get a complete preview. The test is tomorrow. I will, and you may go ahead and write stuff on your test in this book if you like, because I'm going to bring you fresh copies for you to take for the official test. So if you want to fill it in now and study it tonight, that's just perfectly fine. As you can see by now, musical knowledge is cumulative, and that's one of my favorite sentences. You can't understand any new things until you understand the old things. I think I told you at the beginning, it would be so nice if we could somehow break this circle and start somewhere that you didn't have to know anything at all. But it's really hard to do that in music theory. It's in this big circle, and in order to understand this, you have to know that. But in order to understand this, you have to know that, etc. So it's really hard to get started. But from now on, it's really important that you catch all of the concepts, because everything gets built on top of those. Okay? Well, anyway, the first thing they want you to do is draw a treble clef and a bass clef. Let me refresh your memory on how to do that. And of course there will be much latitude, and you may be as much of an artiste as you prefer, but you start about 2 lines above and go about 2 lines below. It generally is balanced in that way. Then you go to the top again and you make a half circle until you hit the 4th line, which since we're making treble clef, that would be D. Then you make another half circle until it hits the bottom line, and then you circle the G line, which is why it's called a treble clef. Now, it's not a particularly good treble clef there, but that would be one that would pass. If you want to be real fancy, instead of a straight line, you draw a wavy line like that, and you can do all sorts of other things that make it look really fancy. Sometimes a little ornament on the bottom is appropriate. Any of those things. The most important thing, the only way you can get this one wrong is if it doesn't circle the G line. Okay? Basically, that's all I'm looking for when I'm grading your test is, does the treble clef circle the G line, which gives it its name, the G clef. The same thing with the bass clef. You can make a nice little ornament right there and then come out of the ornament, hit the top line, and again, it might be all the sugar I'm drinking, I don't know, but I'm having really a bunch of shakes here, so I'm not getting things very, very good. But again, the only thing I'm looking for is, does it have the 2 dots surrounding the F line, which makes it the F clef. All right, any questions about those 2? I knew, yes, what? I thought somebody said something.
Oh, no, of course not.
No, of course not. Very good. All right. The flat signs and the sharp signs, natural signs, double sharp signs, and double flat signs. Let me remind you again that wherever the note is, the flat, natural, or sharp sign has to have that same space or that same line within it somewhere. So, for instance, they're asking for a flat sign right here. That flat sign needs to have the bubble on that same space. Okay? For some reason, people, when they first start out, make really small ones and they put them up on top of the note. That is not right. Okay? And I will say really mean things to you if you do that.
Oh my.
This really is a flat on the E space, and we don't have an E note up there. So that is not right. The same thing with the sharp sign, the next one. If the note is on, I'm about to run out of juice here. Let's try this one. if the note head, oh, that's really cool. Is that a white one?
Oh, that's cool. Oh, 10 points.
Couldn't find it. Now let's try this. There we go. All right, if they want a sharp on that F line, there needs to be this little, the tic-tac-toe has a square in the middle, and that square needs to have that line coming through it. If it would be on a space, that square needs to have the space inside it. All right? And that's what I'm looking for when you make those tomorrow. Don't forget that the double sharp sign is just a fancy X, and I'll just take a plain X if you would rather not do it fancy. Just a plain X with the intersection of the two hitting that G line would be a double sharp to me. If you would really like to be fancy, and I can't get that fancy, I don't believe. It's something like that. How's that? But don't spend too much time being fancy. How's that? And the double flat is just simply two flat signs. Like that. Okay? All right. Now, do you remember when we first started, I said, remember this is, these 6 things are going to be on our test? And I made you read them out loud. Can you remember, in any order, the 6 basic elements of music? Rhythm is one.
Timbre.
Timbre is one. Melody is one. Harmony.
So what? That's 4.
That's 4. We've got another T word that's not timbre.
Toe.
Texture
Oh,
is another
crap.
one.
Pitch.
4.
How about if I look them up for you?
We're thinking up a different set because I know pitch is in
Rhythm,
one
melody,
thing.
harmony, timbre, texture, and form. Form was the one we forgot.
I just said it.
Oh, you said it? Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Forever. Angst.
Did we just go through the 6? Yes.
rhythm, melody, harmony, timbre, texture, and form. You can memorize those in any way you like. If you want to make an anagram, that would be RMHTTF or something like that. And remember, they don't have to be in order.
Like timbre.
Yeah, it looks like T-I-M-B-R-E, timbre, but it's really pronounced timbre. All right, let's go on. Locate the following pitches on the keyboard. Each pitch can be found in more than one place on these keyboards. Make sure you locate them all. And if you'll remind me, later on there is one that is sneaky, and it's not this one, so I'm not going to jump, but I hope I remember to tell you about the sneaky one. But let's start down here with Clabe. Clabe, would you tell us where the 2 Ds would be?
The 5th one from the right, and the 3rd one from the left.
How about the 6th one from the right, and the 2nd one from the left? Okay? Remember, the D is surrounded by the 2 black keys. All right? And by the way, they had us in our exercises, they had us drawing lines, like it said D, F, G, whatever, and we went like this and went like that. I would appreciate it if instead you would just draw the name. Since we're doing white keys right now, just go ahead and draw the name right on the key. Like that. It'll be a lot easier for me to do. All right. Let's see.